welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another Honesty Hours video. I've got my tea, and the topic I've decided to talk about today is unpopular opinions about secondary school. However, this is kind of more of a realizations about secondary school, and I say that because these opinions are probably not unpopular per se. However, they do need to be discussed, which is why I'm here discussing them. So please stay tuned for that. As always, I have a playlist on my channel with all of my Honesty Hours videos, which I will link at the end of this video, or you can also just click on my channel and watch them. Anyways, let's begin. So me making this video was very much prompted by a conversation that I was having with my friends last week. We were just kind of reminiscing on secondary school and very quickly realised how was any of that allowed? Honestly, secondary school, the things that happened, teachers and them being on their weird power trip, illegal. It should all be illegal. And there is no better place to begin and nothing else that sums this up more than the fact that we had to ask our teachers if we wanted to drink water and to use the toilet. And this next thing, I don't know if it's specific to my secondary school or if it was universal, but we also had to ask to take off our blazers during the lesson. And I don't know, it all just feels a bit criminal. Like, it's not illegal, but it definitely should be. Obviously, most of the times teachers would say yes, but sometimes they would also say no, especially if you wanted to use the toilet. It would be like, oh no, you can't go, I'm teaching something important, or no, you can't go until someone else gets back. And it's like, okay, that's cute, but my bladder is not listening to this. And then also with the water, there were teachers who legitimately used to say you can't drink water because then you'll need to use the toilet. Isn't that just how bodies are meant to work? And aside from how often teachers would say yes or no, it's more about the fact that they could say no and they could just, kind of take away our bodily autonomy, and that is just not okay. It's just not okay, but it was so normalized. For what reason? Who invented that? Because they need to go to jail. They need to go to jail. I've not been to secondary school for a year, 2 years now, about to end my second year of uni, and honestly, I can't even imagine the decision of me drinking water being down to a teacher. I just can't imagine having to ask someone every time I wanted to drink water. It's just I don't even think they do that in prison. I don't think they do that in prison. So why on earth are they doing it in schools? I'm waiting for an answer, and guess what? There isn't one, because there is no good reason for that. This next thing, it really irks my soul. Teachers do not like to be held accountable for their actions. They don't like taking responsibility for when they do things that are actually just wrong. And what's even worse is that they are allowed to not be responsible for their actions because other teachers will just find ways to justify it. And that really bothers me because, again, teachers are teachers. They're meant to be professional. They're there to teach you and to guide you. They're not there to unnecessarily punish you or just make you feel terrible. And they shouldn't be allowed to do that just because it's part of their job. No, where in your job description does it say make your students feel terrible? Where does it say do whatever you want and get away with it because you're a teacher? In fact, you know what, it probably does say that. And obviously this does not apply to all teachers. I know few teachers who are actually really lovely and really nice and made secondary school somewhat enjoyable, but I'm currently thinking of a lot of teachers who fit under that category of will do things just because they can. Guys, I once had a teacher in sixth form who said the N-word twice in a lesson. Twice. No, it wasn't an English teacher reading from a book. It was but that is a whole other topic to get into. But please let me know if you want me to make a video about that time my teacher said the N-word twice in a lesson, and then when called out on it by her students, proceeded to say it was in context. Fun fact, it was not in context. There is never an in context, especially for a teacher. that whole situation was wild, and thinking about it again, it just let's just not even go there. That's for a different video. PE teachers, why were they so loud? Why were they so loud? And why did they so obviously have favorites? And if you weren't one of their favorites, they didn't care about you. I only had one detention in secondary school, like one detention that was assigned to me personally. I'm not including class detentions because, quite frankly, those don't count. They're not real. They shouldn't have been real. But the one detention I had in secondary school was in year seven. Year seven. I was like 2 months into secondary school, and I got an hour detention for not having my PE homework. PE homework. That was an actual thing. I can't believe that is a real phrase I just had to say. But honestly, it should be criminal. And PE teachers are always so loud and unnecessarily harsh. Like, it's not my fault that I can't run and that I'm not athletic. You don't need to yell at me for that, okay? I already feel bad about it. You don't need to make me feel worse. This also just reminds me of year sevens just getting detentions for any small thing in the sake of, deterring them and, preparing them for the older years. And I just think that's such a bad technique. Again, I don't know if this was every school, but it definitely was my school. Feel free to let me know if your school did any of these things as well. But it's like year sevens would get detention for breaking the one-way system. They'd get detention for not having their tie done properly. It's just like, dude, they're literally 11 years old. Give them a break. They've just come up from a school where they get to do anything they want. And you don't need to be whole prison warden on year sevens, okay? Because they just don't deserve it. They're just busy wearing their blazers that are 4 sizes too big. Let them grow into that first before you start like punishing them just because you can. Again, teachers doing things just because they can, even if it makes 0 sense. Okay, so I'm thinking this next thing might just be very specific to my secondary school, but this is clapping in assemblies whenever someone finished talking. I don't know how many other schools did this, but in my school they didn't even really explicitly tell you to clap. There was just such a pressure to. Anytime someone was on the stage, as soon as they finished speaking, we would clap for them. I don't know why. Most of the time they weren't even saying anything of substance, but we were still expected to clap for them. For what reason? And it's to the point now where I'm in my lectures at uni, and at the end of it I have this urge to clap, even though no one else is clapping. There's no pressure to, it's not expected. In fact, it would probably be very socially deviant to clap at the end of a lecture, but I still have this urge to. You know what, I would give my secondary school one thing: they were very good at indoctrination, because I've passed that school for 2 years now, and still I'm trying to shake off all the things that they taught me. Do you want to know what else I think is really criminal, just because it just seems really unfair? Is predicting students' E's and U's. I feel like that just shouldn't be allowed. Like, I don't know who created this or who even said that was okay, but personally I feel like the job of a school is to teach you, and obviously there are going to be students who will, find things more difficult, but predicting them to literally fail doesn't help them, and in fact it just reveals that you're obviously not doing very good at your job if you can't even get your students like the minimum like 5 marks or something that it is needed to pass. I just feel like I just feel like it's very toxic. People may disagree with me on this, and that is fine, but I feel like predict students a D, okay? I think that's like okay, because that's at least at that point you still pass the exam, right? But saying, yeah, I think you're actually gonna get a U, which stands for ungradable, I just don't see how that's okay, and it just really feels like teachers give up at that point. Like, at least if you predict that student a little bit higher, they might, believe in themselves a bit more. They might try harder. But if you say to them, yeah, I think you're gonna fail no matter how hard you work, that is just, I don't agree with that personally. I was never predicted a U, but I've seen people who were predicted a U, and I definitely think they could have at least passed, but because teachers had such negative expectations of them, it affected their performance and their confidence. And schools are meant to do the opposite. They're meant to prepare you for the real world. They're not meant to tell you, yeah, we think you're going to fail, there's no point in trying, because then at that point the school is just not fulfilling its purpose, really. Like, I said what I said, they're not fulfilling their purpose. Honestly, there is so much I can say about this, and I might make another video on it because there is a lot that needs to be unpacked and said about secondary schools. And the thing is, when you're in it, you kind of you might question it. Like, I definitely question things when I was at school, but it's only once you leave where you realize that was so messed up. Now that I don't have an authority figure controlling my water intake, I could be like, that was so horrible. Why was that allowed? And why was it so normalized? I really enjoyed making this video. I relived a lot of terrible memories in this video. Let me know if you want me to make another one, and if you want to hear the story about that time my teacher said the N-word twice in our lesson, because that I really need to get that out of my system because it was just absolutely mad. But yeah, I will also put the link to my Honesty Hours playlist at the screen some point at the end here. Feel free to click on that and check out some of the other videos I have. Obviously, there's no pressure to, but like, you're already here, so you might as well check out the rest of them. But other than that, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day.